There ain't nothing like going fast at Daytona. You don't have to worry about letting off or cracking the gas. You can just go. And it's just the biggest thrill I've ever had. Relax.
Earnhardt and Daytona, two of the most iconic names in motorsports history. Dale Earnhardt won everything at Daytona, but one race eluded him for 20 years. The crown jewel, the Daytona 500. Despite a total of 34 victories at Daytona, by far the most in the history of the track, including wins in the Twin 125s, the Busch Clash, the IROC Series, and the Busch Series, Dale suffered a frustrating string of near misses and agonizing defeats in the 500. This is the story of Dale Earnhardt and his complex relationship with the World Center of Racing. Dale would start his first race at Daytona before he became a full-time driver, running the 1978 Firecracker 400 in the number 96 Cardinal Tractor Ford. Yes, Dale drove a Ford for Will Cronkite. While he finished 3 laps down, Dale still wound up coming home 7th, his first top 10 and just his 6th career start. After switching to Rod Osterland's team in 1979 to run full-time and for 1979 Rookie of the Year, Dale led laps in his first Daytona 500 that February and finished 8th. Later that spring, at Bristol, he'd win his first career race. And when the series came back to Daytona for the Firecracker 400 in July, Dale improved even further, recording his first lead lap finish and top 5 at Daytona with a 3rd place run. Because Dale scored 4 pole positions during his 1979 rookie season, he was invited to the following year's Busch Clash, a 20-lap shootout at Daytona for the previous season's pole winners. Starting 5th in the field of 12, Dale didn't lead all race until he made his move on the backstretch on the last lap, getting by perennial championship contender Darrell Waltrip and holding off Neil Bonnet back to the line to collect his first Daytona win. In victory lane, Dale seemed pretty excited about it too.
Something else. I just can't handle it. This team has really worked hard, and it's really coming all together now. I just can't believe it.
Dale, the car started in 5th spot. You didn't have really a super shot at the lead at the beginning of the thing. Then you kind of moved up. Where did you begin to really feel you could run with those guys?
Well, I could draft better than I could pull them, and they all would run good in the draft. But I just tried to hang in there around 2nd, 3rd, and save it for the end. And I made that shot at the last there, and Darrell started down just like Donnie did on Kell, and I just went to the outside, and it paid off. I couldn't believe it.
Dale would score 2 more top 5s at the Daytona 500 and Firecracker 400 in 1980, once again leading laps in both races, which helped him secure his first Cup Series championship at the end of the year. The 1981 season would be a turbulent one for Dale as he tried to defend his championship. Unfortunately, since Dale didn't capture any pole positions in 1980, he wasn't eligible to run the Busch Clash. However, he was able to notch another top 5 at Daytona with a 5th place run in the Daytona 500. That would be his 4th consecutive top 5 at the track and 6th consecutive top 10 in just 6 starts. The bad news: Rod Osterland would sell his team to Jim Stacy at the season's midway point, right before the Firecracker 400, and Dale would finish 35th, dropping out before the halfway point of the race. Dale would run just 4 races for Stacy's team. He'd moved to Richard Childress Racing for the rest of the year, replacing Childress himself as the driver. In 1982, Dale was once again ineligible for the Busch Clash. However, the NASCAR Sportsman Division would be reformed into what would eventually be known as the Busch Grand National Series, or Xfinity Series as it's known as of 2025. Its first race would be at Daytona, and Dale would claim his 2nd ever victory at the famed Tri-Oval. Unfortunately, an engine failure after just 44 laps in the Daytona 500 led to a 36th place finish.
I did, Bud. Ford was running real well, and I was hoping we'd win a nothing for Wrangler down here at Daytona, and I think we blew a head gasket. It run out of gas about 5-6 laps before that, and we had to pit and get gas, and it might have leaned it out then and caused it to burn a piston or something.
With a pole at Atlanta early in the 1982 season, Dale qualified for his 2nd Busch Clash in 1983. While he likely wasn't going to win and go 2 for 2 in his Busch Clash career, he was running well in 4th until he was caught up in a third turn crash on the last lap, finishing 12th. Dale would claim his first Twin 125 victory later that week, but more engine troubles in the Daytona 500 relegated him to a 35th place finish and his 4th straight DNF in points-paying Daytona races. For 1984, Dale would move back to RCR, the last team switch of his career. Other than a second-place finish in the 1984 Daytona 500, Dale's Daytona results were nothing special in the 1984 and 1985 seasons. He didn't score a top 5 in either Twin 125, nor the other 3 Daytona points-paying Cup Series races, and had 2 DNFs in the 2 Busch Series races. And of course, unsurprisingly, didn't qualify for either Busch Clash. In those first 7 years, Dale had both great runs and struggles at Daytona, but he hadn't yet dominated nor suffered any massive heartbreak at the track. Both those things would change with the upcoming 1986 Daytona Speedweeks. Dale would start the week by winning his second Busch Clash, leading 15 of the 20 laps and holding off Bill Elliott, which was no small feat considering Elliott's strength at the superspeedways in the mid-1980s. He followed that up with his second career 125-mile qualifier win on Thursday, and a second career Busch Series Daytona win on Saturday. Could Dale finish off a perfect week with a Daytona 500 victory?
Dale, you've had a great week, $126,000 in the bank. People say that you're probably the only man that can take Bill Elliott today. Can you do that?
Well, we hope we can. Our car is running real good, and it's been running good all week. We're confident that we've got a good car for today.
He put himself in position, following leader Jeff Bodine in the late stages of the race. However, with 3 laps to go, Dale had to pit for fuel. You've probably seen clips of him overshooting his pit stall, and then had mechanical issues exiting the pits, leaving him with a 14th place finish. Bodine would have enough fuel to make it to the end of the race and win the 1986 Daytona 500. Speed weeks in 1987 would produce no wins for Dale, but no heartbreak either. He had a couple solid runs in the Busch Clash and Daytona 500, but realistically, he wasn't beating Bill Elliott in either of those races. A new event would also be on Dale's schedule for the week, as he got to run his first IROC race at Daytona, finishing second to Jeff Bodine. Once again, Dale qualified for the Busch Clash in 1988 and took his 3rd win in the event, leading 14 of the 20 laps. He had 2 more close calls that week, finishing second in both his Twin 125 and the IROC race, but could only muster a 10th place finish in the Daytona 500. The consistency of Dale's 1989 Speed Weeks was outstanding, finishing 3rd in his Twin 125, 3rd in the IROC race, and 4th in the Busch Series race. The Daytona 500 was another 3rd place, but should have been better, possibly even a victory. Darrell Waltrip's only chance to win was by gambling on fuel mileage, and it worked out for him. Dale, along with Ken Schrader, had to pit late, with Dale coming out of the pits well ahead of Schrader. And if Waltrip had run out of fuel, that would have been the battle for the win. Schrader would have been really tough to beat though, as he led 114 laps during the race and ran down Dale to pass him for second. But you never know what would have happened in a different situation. While Dale saw some success at Daytona through the end of the 1980s with 7 total wins, he'd yet to score a Cup Series points-paying victory heading into the 1990s. Both the Domination and Heartbreak kicked into high gear in the 1990s, and there's no better example than 1990 itself. It seemed like the only way he didn't win a race at the 2 superspeedways, Daytona and Talladega, was because they didn't let him run. Since he didn't win a pole in 1989, although Jimmy Hensley qualified his car on pole at Martinsville in the fall, Dale wasn't eligible for the Busch Clash. And the IROC race? Well, that was canceled due to the lack of testing with the new car, and they'd only run 3 races in 1990. But the Twin 125 and Busch race? Dale won them both. Then on Sunday, he dominated the Daytona 500, at times running away from the pack and leading 155 of the 200 laps. Then, a late caution would give us a restart with just 5 laps to go, and because Dale pitted, he restarted in 3rd position. He made short work of the two cars in front of him, taking the lead by the end of the backstretch on the first green flag lap. Nobody was beating Dale that day. But then, heading into turn 3 on the last lap, he ran over a piece of bell housing and cut a right rear tire, handing the win to Derek Cope. Dale would somehow hang on to his car and finish 5th, but this one tops just about any Daytona 500 heartbreak list.
Dale, what the heck happened on the last lap?
We run over some debris and cut a right rear tire down, David. Just a quarter of a lap away from victory. Not much you could do about it.
I was sitting with your wife, and it was absolute devastation in your motorhome. We're all real sorry for you. Better luck next time.
The rest of his super speedway races in 1990, an IROC win at Talladega, 2 Cup Series wins at Talladega, and finally, a points-paying Daytona victory as he dominated the Pepsi 400 in July.
Got to be vindication after that last lap at Daytona back in February. Did you have any thoughts on the final lap here when you saw that white flag fly one more time?
Well, I ran in sort of in the middle of the groove. I didn't get too close to the edge on either side, so I wouldn't run over no debris. I didn't take any chances.
Overall, Dale led 523 of the 776 laps at the restrictor plate tracks that year in the Cup Series. Total domination and total heartbreak. The Busch Clash of 1991 gave us similar scenes to Dale's 1990 domination. Starting 6th on the grid, he led by the second lap, and with the 20-lap shootout now split into 2 10-lap segments, Dale easily won the first segment. However, the field was inverted for the second segment, so Dale looked like he may have been in some trouble starting 14th and last. Could he get to the front in just 10 laps? We got that answer pretty quickly, as he cut through the field just a lap and a half into the final segment.
Here comes Earnhardt down on the inside.
Finds a hole and takes out another complete row there, Ned.
Yeah. I'll tell you, that car's strong. Look at there.
Right down on the apron that time. Pulls up for Trickle in the 66 and Wallace. Here he comes, trying to bust through. Dale Earnhardt on a roll in the back straightaway.
You could have got all kind of bets in the garage area, and that A car could not have been able to do that on his own. But Dale Earnhardt, look at him, he's going for the lead.
And has it. In 2 laps, Earnhardt thrusts himself right through the field, bottom of the racetrack.
From there, he held on to win another Busch Clash, leading 18 of the 20 laps while having to come from behind twice.
Were you apprehensive on that second start, wondering if you could get to the front?
Well, it was, Mike. At first, I was talked about it all week with Richard, should we do that or should we just sort of sandbag? But no, we're not that kind of team. We want to try to go for it and try to win. And we come back in 2 laps was amazing to me. I didn't think we could do it that easy, but the car just catch some wind and it'd really go. I was up in the top lane on the first corner down here, and I moved down behind Brent down in 3 and 4 and caught some air and got by him, and I just stayed on the bottom, and the car just picked up right through the corner and got on by him.
Dale would go on to win his Twin 125 on Thursday, leading all 50 laps. Then, he'd lead 91 of the 120 laps of the Busch race on Saturday and win that as well. Once again, though, the Daytona 500 would defeat Dale on Sunday. He led on a restart with just 7 laps to go, but Ernie Irvan managed to get by Dale just a lap later and pulled away as Dale battled wheel to wheel with Davey Allison for second for almost 3 laps. In turn 2, with 3 laps remaining, Dale got loose, spun, got into Davey, and also took out Kyle Petty. While he'd come around to finish 5th under caution, it was another tough loss in the 500 after winning so many races leading up to it.
Give this man a lot of credit. He's come out of this car smiling 2 years in a row, and that can't have been easy. Dale, what happened on the backstretch?
Well, we was giving it everything we could. Ernie got by us there on the short shoot, and me and Davey was racing, trying to get back in position. I couldn't get no help from behind me, and Joe was in and out behind Davey and behind me, and the air got off of me down there in 1 and 2 under Davey, and whether somebody was behind me or what, but I lost control of the car and spun me and Davey, and luckily we kept coming around. We didn't lose any laps there. We finished 5th, so we can worry about our points. But still, we was going for the Daytona 500. We wasn't leading it, so we was going to try to go to the front.
There will be another one of these, won't there?
Hopefully, I'm living for the 1992 Daytona 500. It's a long time off, but we made it back to this, and so we got a long year ahead of us, and we won the championship without winning the 500 last year, so we're going to go after them.
Entering Speed Weeks 1992, the Fords seemingly had an advantage over the rest of the field. That didn't stop Dale from winning his Twin 125, although it may have been a bit lucky that only one strong Ford finished the race. Dale's non-Cup Series races that weekend didn't have the Ford problem though. The IROC race was another season-opening win.
As Earnhardt tries to keep Allison in check, and Gant comes down inside Allison to the inside. Ricky Rudd is on the high side. Gant continues to move down the inside. They're nose to nose as they head for the tri-oval and the checkered flag. It's Gant and Ricky Rudd and Earnhardt moving down to the inside as they're three abreast coming across the line, and Earnhardt takes it. Earnhardt, then Gant, and Ricky Rudd at the line as they hit the line three abreast.
And the Busch race was his most dominant, as he led 100 of the 120 laps to pick up his third consecutive Busch win at Daytona and his fifth overall. Unlike previous years, the 1992 Daytona 500 would not be his to lose. He ran competitively early on, but was collected in a multi-car pileup near the race's halfway point, which was triggered by a three-wide battle for the lead. Dale would suffer damage in the wreck, and while he was still able to finish ninth, wasn't a threat for the win. 1993, another year Dale won almost everything. The Busch Clash, reminiscent of 1991. The race was still split into two 10-lap segments, and by the halfway point of the first segment, Dale had gone from 13th to 1st and led the final 5 laps. The field was inverted again, and while Dale started back in 15th, he once again passed everyone to lead by halfway and held off Ken Schrader and Ernie Irvan to win his 5th Busch Clash in just 7 starts. The Twin 125 dominated that as well, picking up his 4th consecutive win. The Busch race, another win, also his 4th straight in that event. This is now the 3rd straight year Dale won 3 races during Speed Weeks, an incredible run. But, there's always a but, the Daytona 500 was still to come.
In 89, 90 and 91, Dale Earnhardt led this race with 10 laps to go, never get to win the Daytona 500. Dale, you've won 19 races here with yesterday afternoon's victory. When are you going to win the Daytona 500?
Why not today? You know, our chances are good. We've really run good all week. Race car here won Thursday, so we're in good shape. I think our best chance to win the Daytona 500. Feel good.
You've had a very strong week so far, and we hear on very good authority that you've got an even better engine today than you've been using all week.
Well, it's a brand new one, and it is a good engine. So we got 500 miles to run, 200 laps, so we're going for them.
Dale would dominate the race again, and while he led over 20 consecutive laps near the end of the race, including the white flag lap, Dale Jarrett made his move, getting by Earnhardt, and with his father Ned on the call, won just his 2nd career race in the Super Bowl of stock car racing.
Here he comes, Earnhardt. It's the Dale and Dale show. It's become off of turn 4. You know who I'm pulling for. It's Dale Jarrett. Bring her to the inside, Dale. Don't let him get down there. He's going to make it. Dale Jarrett's going to win the Daytona 500.
Earnhardt would see another 500 snatched from him. He would go on to win another Pepsi 400 in July at Daytona, though, helping him push toward his 6th championship. This seems like it's getting a bit repetitive, but all these wins just show how truly great Dale was at Daytona. In 1994, guess how many races he won during Speed Weeks? Yep, 3 again. He won his 5th straight Twin 125, the IROC race, and his 5th straight Busch race, which would be his final Daytona Busch race. However, come Sunday, Dale led early, but just didn't have the car handling as well as it needed to that day, and he finished 7th. Dale would win more in 1995, winning his 6th Busch Clash in a similar fashion to his other wins. This time, in the final segment, he only came from 9th on the grid, but it also only took him just over a lap to retake the lead. From there, he'd hang on to win. Although Jeff Gordon did pass him once in the first segment, he'd also go on to win another Twin 125 and the IROC race in 1995. The Daytona 500 curse would continue on Sunday, however. Dale led with 20 laps to go, but Sterling Marlin made his move, getting by Dale, and by the time the caution flew with 15 laps to go, Dale had fallen back to 4th. As they thought it would be their only chance to win, The number 3 crew pitted Dale's car for fresh tires while the rest of the leaders stayed out on old tires. Restarting 13th with 10 laps to go, Dale made his way through car after car until he reached Marlin. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to do anything, and Marlin would go on to win his second consecutive Daytona 500, with Dale finishing second. Another close loss. With only 2 wins in the 1996 preliminary races, it almost seemed like an off year for Dale. One new accomplishment for him that year: his first and only pole in the Daytona 500. He didn't win the Busch Clash, finishing 3rd behind winner Dale Jarrett and Sterling Marlin, but came back on Thursday to win his Twin 125. Then, he won another IROC race. The big show on Sunday saw it come down to Earnhardt and Dale Jarrett, just like 1993. But the result didn't go Earnhardt's way yet again. He was passed by Jarrett for the lead with 24 laps to go and couldn't regain it, finishing second once again. At this point, it was just ridiculous how close he had come in nearly every Daytona 500 in the 1990s.
Well, that's Daytona 500. We finished second again. It's not a problem. We had a real good race car today. We just didn't have anything to match him forward. So, we'll take second and go on. Congratulate them. They did a good job, I reckon.
Tell us about that last lap, moving up and down, side to side.
Well, I was trying to get a run on him, but he was too strong. He just kept pulling out there, and I just was trying to do all I could do. That's all you can do.
After Dale would fail to win either the 1997 Busch Clash or IROC race, only the second time that would happen during Speed Weeks, when he ran both races, he would win his 8th straight Twin 125 on Thursday.
So close, so many times when it should have been his, and it wasn't. And for Jeff Gordon, he's doing this for someone else.
Here goes a pass. Gordon making a move on the inside of Earnhardt. Oh, Jarrett's loose.
Down the back straightaway. Big trouble. Earnhardt out. Up and over number 3. And for the 19th time, Lady Luck deals a bad hand.
His 19th Daytona 500 would come and go with another deflating loss. This time, Dale was second when Jeff Gordon tried passing him on the inside in turn 2 with 12 laps to go. Dale pushed up the track and into the wall, and Dale Jarrett couldn't stay off him and started a wreck in which Earnhardt would roll over. While Gordon would go on to win the race, Earnhardt would see that his car could still crank, and he got back in it, driving back to pit road and finishing the race after rolling it down the backstretch. Despite another Daytona 500 defeat, the resilience shown by Dale here to complete the race was admirable, as the bitter disappointment could have set in and he could have easily given up.
Well, I just wanted to get back in the race and try to, make laps, and we're running for a championship. Our hopes for the Daytona 500 were over there. Gordon came up under me, and the car pushed off the corner, and I got into the wall, got back in him, checked up a little bit. Somebody hit me from behind. Next thing I know, we're on the roof again. Luckily, no one else hit the car. We just sort of bounced around up on our lid a little bit and scuffed around, tore the back end up, whatever. I got an ambulance, and I looked back at the car, and I said, man, the wheels are still on that thing. I got out of the ambulance and asked the guy inside the car that was hooking it up. I said, see if it'll crank. And he cranked it up. I said, get out. Give me the car back. So I drove it back around here, and we taped it up. And it's just, it's frustrating for me, for the guys that worked so hard. Everybody worked so hard on the team, and getting these race cars down here, we run good and qualified good, won the qualifying race. I don't know that we could have won the Daytona 500, but we were sitting there ready for a shot. And I think Gordon was a little impatient at that point, but still, he went on and won the race. He's running his race, but that's the way it goes. I mean, I pushed off the corner and got in the wall a little, and I could have took him out too, but I was trying to stay off him and got back, and somebody turned me from the back, and then it was all over with.
The 1998 Speed Weeks did not get off to a good start. Dale finished third behind Jimmy Spencer and Lake Speed in a Bud Shootout qualifying race, and didn't even qualify for the main event. By Thursday's Twin 125, things would turn around for the number 3 car, as Dale would lead every lap and win his 9th straight Twin 125.
Everybody's worked hard for us. Here we are at Victory Lane.
And your fans never gave up on you either. What can you tell them about what to expect from Dale Earnhardt in the Daytona 500?
Same thing. This is a good race car, and this is the car we're going to race there. We got an even better engine for the Daytona 500, so we're looking forward to Sunday's race.
Going to win it?
Going to win it.
Well, a bold statement for the 7-time NASCAR champ. We'll be right back to Daytona.
So things were looking up, and once again, Dale would go into Sunday as the favorite to win the 500. With another fast car, could Dale also get the luck that he'd been missing for the previous 19 years? The race started out well, as Dale led a couple segments of the race early on. It looked like he was in for a tough battle throughout the day, as Bobby Labonte, Jeff Gordon, and Rusty Wallace were all fast. Like many 500s before, Dale was up front in the closing stages. He had taken the lead on lap 140 and held it until a spin off turn 2 with 2 laps to go would bring out a caution. At the time, they raced back to the line, so Dale was just a half lap from glory. And with that charge back to the white and caution flags, Mike Joy brought to life one of the most famous calls in motorsports history.
20 years of trying, 20 years of frustration. Dale Earnhardt will come to the caution flag to win the Daytona 500.
And just 1 lap later, the checkered flag flew and Dale had finally done it. He finally won the race that had been taunting him for 20 years. The celebrations are replayed constantly. Every crew member from every team lined up on pit road congratulating Dale. The donuts in the grass. It was one of the biggest moments in the history of NASCAR. And in victory lane, it was almost more relief from pressure than anything else.
The Daytona 500 is ours. We've won it, we've won it, we've won it.
While Dale would go on to win 3 more times at Daytona, the Twin 125 in 1999, and IROC races in 1999 and 2000, nothing would top that 1998 Daytona 500 victory. In 2001, Dale's relationship with Daytona would turn tragic, as Earnhardt was killed on the last lap of the Daytona 500 as he ran third behind 2 cars he owned, including one driven by his son, Dale Earnhardt Jr. The next time the circuit returned to Daytona in July, the younger Earnhardt won his first Daytona race and arguably the most emotional win in NASCAR history, and continued the Earnhardt legacy.
Michael Waltrip in second, but it's going to be Dale Earnhardt Jr. using lessons learned from his father to go from 6th to 1st and score the victory in the Pepsi 400.
Dale Jr. totaled 17 wins at the track, 4 in the Cup Series, including 2 Daytona 500s, 6 in the Busch Series, 5 Daytona 500 qualifying races, and 2 Budweiser shootouts. With 34 total victories at Daytona and all the near misses, just how impressive were the elder Earnhardt's career statistics at Daytona? Let's start with one of the most incredible stats in all of motorsports, his record in the Twin 125 qualifiers. From 1990 to 1999, Dale Earnhardt went undefeated. He won 10 consecutive races, leading nearly 68% of all laps run in that time, and maintained a perfect 1.0 average finish. In a series where anyone can win, that kind of perfection is absolutely ridiculous to think about. Overall, in 23 career starts in the Twin 125s, he amassed 12 victories, with an astonishing 18 top 5 finishes and 20 top 10s. His domination wasn't limited to just qualifying races. Dale earned a record 6 victories in the Busch Clash, coming in only 12 starts. He finished in the top 5 in all but one of those races, with a career average finish of 2.8. In the IROC Series, he was just as dominant, racking up another record 6 wins at Daytona in just 13 races. He earned 11 top 5 finishes and had a career average finish of 3.0. And in the Busch Series, he shares the record for most Daytona wins with Tony Stewart at 7 total, including an amazing streak of 5 consecutive victories from 1990 to 1994. Dale Earnhardt's domination at Daytona was the perfect counterpoint to his struggle to win the Daytona 500. With grit and determination, he was able to overcome decades of bitter disappointment to conquer the Great American Race, finally completing his impossibly impressive resume at the World Center of Racing.
Why would you want to do something that you know darn well could turn around and bite you, could kill you.
I had never wanted to do anything else. I never ever wanted anything as much as I want racing, or enjoy it, or like it, or would give up most anything in life to have it, you know.